Hi everyone. Can you guys hear me back? Woohoo! 7 p.m. on a Wednesday. That's a really good turnout for 7 p.m. on Wednesday. Hopefully we had some good appetizers and snacks for you. That's great. Somebody said, do you want one? I'm like, let me just talk and then I'll go get some so I don't have food in my teeth as I talk. But so delighted to welcome you all. My name is Jyoti Mehra. I lead the human resource function here at Gilead. I've been with Gilead for more than a couple of years and have been leading the function for a few months now. And I am really delighted to welcome all of you here today on behalf of Gilead to this important event. And I'm going to say probably a few words to just kick us off to talk both about supplier diversity, but also about inclusion and diversity, which obviously is an important priority for us as an organization. And I'll try and keep it short, but just a few words from me before we kick off to this esteemed panel, and such a good-looking panel too. So in 2019, I thought it would be important for me to share. In 2019, Gilead spent $67 million doing business with organizations that was certified as women-owned. And I think that's really... and one of them is Rev1, which is a design team that we've worked with for more than 5 years. And actually, all the signs outside today are created by Rev1. We have someone from Rev1 here today? No, but we can still give them a hand. And then recently, we also worked with an organization called Teal Book, which has the goal of building relationships such as the one we have with Rev1 and really further grow our diversity. Do we have anybody from Teal Book?
Yes, Stephanie. Woo!
So thank you for the partnership, and we so enjoyed. But these are just two examples of all the things that we are hoping to do more of in the space of supplier diversity. And certainly, I am proud to work for the company that Gilead is in terms of our commitment to inclusion and diversity. And I think it goes without saying, but I always think it's an important reminder for all of us to think about why that is important. And certainly for us as a company, it has tremendous value because of the diversity of patients that we seek to bring medicines to. We have, the audacious goal of bringing multiple transformative therapies to patients across the world. And these patients for us are so diverse in terms of age, in terms of ethnicity, in terms of gender, in terms of their economic status. Pretty much on all sides of the coin, that for us, we aim to have that diversity reflected in both our employees, but also in our partners as we think about our commitment to inclusion and diversity. We are convinced that to reach all the diverse patient populations that we have, we need an employee population that is equally diverse and our partner population that is also equally diverse. And of course, for that, we are continuously striving to create a more inclusive culture and really get more ideas and thoughts on the table. And I know today is one more step in that direction. For us to be a partner of choice, for us to demonstrate and follow through on the commitment that we're hoping to make to inclusion and diversity. And much like all of you, I can't wait to hear from our panelists on their thoughts and their ideas. So without much more time between me and them, let me turn it over. And I know to introduce panelists and then take it from there. But thank you very much for being here. Delighted to welcome you on behalf of Gilead, and thank you for all your partnership and efforts with us.
Good evening. Oh, good evening. Hello, everyone. Thank you for being here, and thank you so much for the wonderful introduction and the commitment to diversity and inclusion that you're seeing here tonight. It has been absolutely fantastic. I am Amanda Prochaska. I am the CEO and president of GWPP. GWPP.
Woo! Yeah, Amanda. Woo!
GWPP is the first ever global women in procurement organization ever.
Woo!
It only took us till 2020 to get that done, but we did it. And this organization information is all for you. It is also brand new. I would like to thank our founder, Michael Shaw. He's here tonight. Michael, would you stand up? Michael Shaw had a brilliant idea here in the city of San Francisco. He introduced two women who had the exact same role, who worked 10 miles away from each other and did not know each other. And he took them to lunch. And they started talking, and they shared ideas, and they shared the conversations, their challenges. And he looked at him and he said, "Why don't you start a LinkedIn group?" And they looked at him like, "Oh, I'm too busy for that." And so Michael took the initiative and made it happen. Since it's only been around, the original LinkedIn group has been there for what, 2 years? And I want to do something fun tonight, if you could. I usually don't ask people to take out their phones unless they're taking pictures of all of us beautiful women. I want you to take out your phones. If you're not already part of Global Women Procurement Professionals group, I would like you to join tonight. And it's very important because we are 6 people away from hitting 4,000 members. Woo. The person who gets to be the 4,000th member is going to be highlighted tomorrow. It's already 4,000. All right, so whoever made 4,000, whoever made 4,000 will be highlighted all over LinkedIn tomorrow. So congratulations. We have grown this group from about 2,000, just over 2,000 since October, and now we've doubled. My goal is to have 10,000 men and women in this group by the end of this year, because it's a very important community. It is a community all about you. It's an exchange of information. You felt it tonight while we were in the room networking. We met new people, we shared information. We want to continue that both online and in person. But we want to go well beyond that. We're talking about mentorship programs, champion programs, which are even better. Can we attract new talent from universities and help the recruiting process? Can we actually build out women in procurement programs within procurement organizations? So we're planning to do a lot to not only attract women to this profession, but to help each and every one of you to empower you in your careers and live your best career. So that's what we're all about. And we are a group that is passionate about these 3 things. I'm not going to go through all this because I think I've hit it on all of it already. But it is a wonderful organization. Oh, hold on, clicking too fast. Where did it go? Nope. Okay. I must have took it out. No, right here. The hummingbird. The hummingbird is a fascinating creature. It is a powerful creature. It is a beautiful bird. It is enormously powerful and strong. It can fly across the Gulf of Mexico 300 miles each way without stopping. They are diverse. They are united. They are women in procurement. So, I would like to invite you into the month of March. The month of March just happens to be Women's History Month for many parts around the world. It also happens to be Procurement Month. So what does that mean for women in procurement? It's our freaking month. Okay? So we're going to be asking you to get your shimmer on the whole month of March. Can you guys do that? Some people have already said they bought sequins pants. But what Get Your Shimmer On is all about is we're asking you to do activities, little tasks every single workday of the month of March. And the first one is take someone out to lunch that you don't know. And then you take a picture of your lunch, you post it on social media, hashtag it, get your shimmer on. Okay? We have other wonderful things like Unity Week, is week 3. Celebrate a coworker. Celebrate your mentors. Celebrate by surprising someone with a special note or a gift of thanks. But my particular favorite one is your work week. Now, is it your work week? Yeah. Wednesday. Mark your calendars. Wednesday, March 25th, you are going to do something for yourself, which includes exercise, read, write, meditate, and my favorite one is sleep. So if anyone wants to post a picture of you sleeping, maybe glittery a little bit shimmery, that would be awesome. Not at work. Not at work. But this month is all about creating that unity, that sense of community, and knowing that we're all in this together. Because we are a shimmer. A shimmer just happens to be the name of a group of hummingbirds. So, with that said, I would like to thank all of you, first of all, for being here. It takes courage to go to a networking event, to put yourself out there, and it also takes courage to learn. So, I'm grateful for all of you to be here. I'm also grateful for our sponsor, Gilead, Andy Murray, and the team. They did an excellent job. So can we give them a round of applause?
Thank you, Keisha.
Amazing. Thank you. Thank you for this opportunity for hosting us. And we also have as annual sponsors Coupa, who you might know in this Bay Area. Coupa is a wonderful sponsor.
Yeah, Michelle.
All right. HPP, Holyoke Search, Let's Talk Supply Chain, and RSN are all valuable sponsors and supporters of women in procurement. So thank you for all of them. All right, enough of me. Actually,
I just want to clarify one thing. I'm actually the one that bought the sequin pants, so.
That should be interesting. Okay. All right. Okay. So with it, I'm going to click all the way back to the beginning. So we have this beautiful picture behind us. But do you guys want to hear from the panel?
Yeah.
Okay. You're not done with me. Sorry. I'm moderating the panel. I'm just going to stay down here and get this party started. So I'm also going paperless today. I'm good? All right. Hold on. I got to unlock my phone now. Okay. What we're going to do, ladies. No? Maybe? Hello.
Oh.
Maybe?
No.
Do I need a screen? Hello? Mic check. Okay. What we're going to do, maybe not. I'm going to stand right here. No? Okay. Does this work?
Yes.
I'm standing back here now. One thing that they taught me as a speaker is always be prepared for whatever. So I'm going to do that. Okay, so I'm back here, if you guys can see me. I'm going to ask the first question, and as I ask each of you the question for the first time, if you want to introduce yourselves, I always find that it's best for each individual to introduce themselves on the panel, so you get that personal insight from them. Randy, you ready?
I'm ready.
You ready? What is the best advice you have received in your career?
Well, before I answer that, let me introduce myself. So I am Randy Miller, and I'm the VP of Corporate Services at Zendesk. What corporate services entails is I own everything from source to pay, travel and expense, and then also we have a group in Manila, which is our shared services team, so that we manage all of our back office work there. So been there for about 1.5 years, but I've been in procurement for about 20 years now, and have seen lots of changes and have gone through a lot of changes myself over the course of my career. So it's exciting to be here with you all tonight, and I really appreciate the invitation to share just some of my experience throughout my career, and I am such a big fan of helping other women grow in their career, and so I would love to connect with all of you and share whatever insight I can. So best advice. This is a really hard question for me because I can't say this is the quote or the piece of advice that I go back to every time I think about my career. There's been so many different people and different mentors and different things that have been said to me throughout my career, but the things that really stick with me are those cheerleaders who said, you can do this, don't be afraid, nothing is too small for you or too big for you, and just keep going. Things like that when people believed in me, when I didn't think that I was either qualified or capable or smart enough or hadn't had enough experience to do those things, or one of my real pet peeves is I couldn't check every single box on the job description. I could check 3 or 4, but I couldn't check all 10. I would say, oh, I can't do the job. And people would say, friends, mentors, colleagues would say, you can do this, you've got this. So that's, I think, if I could give advice to anybody, I would always say, you've got this, you can do this. Don't be afraid. That's the big one, don't be afraid.
I love that. I actually have a quote in my office that said that we're not born to be afraid, we're born to be powerful. So great advice that you received throughout your career. So Dana, I would ask you to introduce yourself and then ask this question. On the flip side, what is the worst advice you've ever received?
No, so my name is Dana Small. I'm a senior category manager at BioMarin, very small, ultra-rare disease state. I actually worked here at Gilead for a few years back. I've spent 15 years in pharmaceuticals, over 10 years in sourcing, especially with sales and marketing, so that's been my focus.
Yeah, marketing.
And yes, we love. So it's interesting the reply that I got from you, because not even talking with you, some of the things that went through my head is not that I didn't have bad advice specifically, but it was those people who said, you can't do this. You aren't going to do this. You're not moving to California. You could never be a procurement person. You could never be manager level. It was those people who, even though it wasn't straight like bad advice, like, hey, take that shitty sourcing job in tax, you know what I mean? Like, it wasn't straight like, hey, it was like kind of like, you really don't make the cuff. And to me, it was, hey, that's one person's opinion. And you know what? There are other people cheering behind me, to your point, right, who are saying you can do this, go for it, you got, your support system that you have to really listen to versus all the negative naysayers. And I think, being here with other women is great, but sometimes women, we can be when we're 70s, right? And so some of the worst advice I think I got and some of the experiences I had were from other women managers who basically were like, for an hour and a half, would say, you've done this, 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 and this wrong. And I just said, you know what, that's okay. I'm going to figure out how to do it right. And I just pressed on. And I think that, to me, is one of the best things that I think can come from such a negative situation.
It's so true, Dana. That is, I shared this in Houston a couple of months ago, but I got advice once never to share anything about your family at work from another woman.
Yes.
Yeah. So I love your advice that you shared with us. Is that some advice you can take, think about, some advice you just let flow right over you. So thank you for sharing that, Keisha. All the way down there. Hi, Keisha. Okay.
Yeah, Keisha.
Keisha, we have a lot of people in the room today that might be newer in their careers. So now you have the opportunity to give them some advice. What advice would you give them?
My mic working? Nope. The advice I would give is kind of back to what Amanda said and getting your shimmer on. I think that's like the best advice. And what I mean by that is, I feel like as women sometimes, you know, we're reluctant to do something new or to change or to step out of our comfort zone. And I think, you know, if I were to give somebody advice starting in their career, be confident, you know, and be open to change. If I think of myself, and I know I didn't introduce myself, but Keisha Scott in procurement, I came from commercial. I've been in commercial for 25 plus years. And here at Gilead, I've been here 9 years and in commercial for most of it. And last year I was approached by Andy Murray to say, come on over to procurement. And I'm like, yeah, no. And I started to think about it. And when I look back on my career, Dana actually worked with me when I started at Gilead, starting over in the commercial area, and she was my commercial procurement person. And they would always say, come on over to procurement. Again, I'm just like, yeah, no, that's not me, I'm a commercial person, right? And I must say that Andy Murray is the best negotiator I've ever met. And we had a conversation, and you know, I think what's important is we have allies as women, and those allies are men like Andy Murray who support us in our career, and he said, you know, let me help you take your career in another direction, and I think you'll be very happy, you know, if you come over to procurement. And I have to say, it was one of the best career moves I've ever made, and I never would have done that if I wasn't confident in my abilities and what I could do and be open to making a change. So I would say the best advice is just be open, take risks, make a change, and be confident in that decision that you decide to make.
Awesome job. Okay, I'm going to try something with the mics to see if it works. Can you, Keisha, can you turn yours off? Does this work?
Yeah.
I'm going to stay back here though. Okay. All right. Alyssa. Is it Alyssa or Elisa? Elisa. There you go. Learned something new today. Okay. Did you plan on having a career in procurement? And why did you stay? And please introduce yourself first.
Yes. Well, first of all, apologize. I'm taking your seat.
That's okay.
I'm Elisa Young. I'm the Chief Procurement Officer for California Water Service.
It's still not working. All right.
It was.
Yeah, and then it.
Okay.
Oh, hold it to our.
Okay. So I'm CPO of California Water Service company. We are the third largest investor-owned water utility company in the nation. To answer, I will introduce myself as I answer the question. I did not plan having a career in procurement at all. I stumbled in this career because there was an opportunity in my company. There was a business need, but once I am in the game, I really found out, you know, how fulfilled this profession is, and you know how much procurement can impact a company's business bottom line. So just to share a little bit about my experience, I was in IT for a long time. I was IT director for my company, and I thought, you know, I loved it, my job, and my career would be in IT for the rest of my career. But hey, one day my CFO called me in his office, and my life changed. The reason he called me to his office was he wanted me to lead a project to revamp our procure-to-pay processes. It turned out that like that year, our company had audit. We had a new auditor, and the auditor discovered a lot of gaps in our procure-to-pay processes.
It never happens.
And then the auditor gave us a significant deficiency in their audit report. And if we did not mediate all these deficiencies, next year they're going to rate us as a material weakness. If we had that rating, you know what happened. We're a publicly traded company, and you know our stock will tumble, our credit rating will go down. We won't be able to have enough finance to support our business. So he said, well, you can do
a cape, some boots, maybe? Yeah? Okay. Tony, you're up next. You ready for this?
Yeah, sure. Can you hear me? Is this working?
We can hear you though.
Okay.
We have loud voices.
Yeah.
We do, right? Okay.
Tony Tran. I am the portfolio manager supporting all of IT at Pacific Gas and Electric Company. That covers all of software, all of hardware and infrastructure, professional services, staff aug, contingent labor forces, managed service providers, and telecom. Our spend ranges annually from $500 to $750 million a year, so it's a pretty large category, and it's complex and it's changing. Your question?
Yes, I didn't get there. You just hopped right in. I was like, she's going for it. I was actually wondering if you actually memorized the question. I was like, okay, I don't think I need to be up here anymore. Okay, what has motivated you to grow in your career?
It's very interesting. I started, actually I have a law background. I'm a certified licensed attorney. I thought I loved negotiating, so I started in the negotiation space. But I was negotiating in the legal department. So I was looking at contracts for risk mitigation, blah, 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 blah. I was dying. So I got into Pacific Gas and Electric Company negotiating telecom contracts because I had been negotiating telecom contracts for risk. But then I got there as a individual contributor negotiating all of the telecom and wireless and wireline. And Pacific Gas and Electric Company is one of the 5th largest private network in all of California. It's very large. So there was a lot of things to negotiate. But it was negotiating the business deals, and I found I really loved that. That was really super exciting. So then when my mentor and boss came and tapped me on the shoulder to take over his position to manage this whole category, I thought, I don't know, I don't think I want to do that. I'm going to give up this ability to negotiate and manage. And I thought, and he said, no, you just try it. Just try it. So I tried it. And I would liken it very much to a game of checkers. So when you're an individual contributor, I see it as a game of checkers. You're just playing a very simple game. When you get up to the next level, you're playing a chess game. You're seeing all these other pieces. There are so many more pieces, so many more players in the game, and it's so much more fun. So that, for me, was really what motivates me as I climb up higher and higher. That's where the fun is for me. The strategy behind everything, not just one piece of strategy, but multifaceted features that you're dealing with. That's what motivates me.
That's an awesome answer. I stayed in procurement because there's something new every day, right? You were just talking about the strategy and the chess pieces and the puzzle pieces all coming together. It's a great industry and profession to be in. So,
and there's nothing like getting a great deal.
I know. So before I hand it off to Sophia, I want to ask a question of the audience and all the panelists. We've already heard from some of the panelists that they had no intent of going into procurement. I am curious, how many of you actually knew that you wanted a career in procurement?
Wow.
Andy Murray, 1.
There's one here.
Oh, 2. They're both guys. Okay. So relevant experience outside of procurement is very, very important, as we can see here throughout the room. So Sophia, after you introduce yourself, have you ever had experience working outside of procurement, and how did that experience help you in your procurement career?
So good evening, everyone. I'm Sophia Sharp Donaldson, and I work for a sister company of Gilead. It's called Kite, and we've got one of 2 CAR-T products on the marketplace, saving lives vein to vein. So I'm really glad to be here this evening, and I've actually been in what I call strategic sourcing and procurement for about 11 years. So I am one that I won't say stumbled into this. I had a colleague who passed away from cancer, and for the company that I was working for, they needed someone to head it up, and I raised my hand. I knew enough about it that the strategic elements that we just heard about were really important for me, and so most of my career I started off in finance with a colleague here I hadn't seen in a lot of years. And basically for me, I basically said I wanted to learn everything about corporate America because I saw myself one day being a CEO of a company. So I moved every element. I've been in almost every function, basically, for about the first 15 years of my career. And so when this opportunity came about, it was more about the strategy and being able to take all of that knowledge and add value. So didn't know about, I always knew about the function because I learned about almost all the critical functions in a company early on, but I stumbled into it based on a colleague passing away and saw it was a great opportunity to add value from the strategic element. And I've always seen sourcing and procurement as strategic. And I think that allows us to sit at the table and add the value. And so that's my emphasis. I don't even, I think that we had this comment, Andy and I don't use procurement as much because it takes a while to get a lot of the C-suite to respect it. So I always kind of focus about the strategic sourcing part of it, and it usually gets me in.
Yeah.
So I'm learning to use the procurement part of it, but I haven't found it to always get me in the door as much. So.
There's actually a lot of conversation, thanks for bringing that up. There's a lot of conversation in the industry right now about what we should be calling ourselves because our value is broadening so much outside of their traditional, even strategic sourcing. It's broadening in so many other ways. So we'll see what the next couple of years might bring. We might get a new name for ourselves. Then I'm gonna have to change this logo again. Okay, can we give a round of applause for Carrie? Carrie has been waiting patiently. She's our last one to get her first question, so thank you for being so patient. After you're done introducing yourself, can you let us share with us what your biggest challenge you have faced in your career progression?
Yes, absolutely. So yes, last and least to all of these ladies up here, because this is an amazing group of women that I have the honor of being able to sit up here with. So my name is Carrie Myers. I'm the Global Vice President of Commercial and Clinical Supply Services for Caligor Coughlin Pharma Services. And so basically I head up our commercial division as well as our clinical supply services team, which includes a comparator sourcing unit, as well as a commercial distribution unit. So essentially we kind of match our clients who are pharmaceutical and biotech companies with other pharmaceutical and biotech companies to procure their product so that they can use it as comparators in clinical trials. So I really got into procurement about 5 years ago indirectly. So I was working for Quest Diagnostics at the time, and I was asked to lead up a small business unit, N of 1. And essentially I had to form relationships and negotiate contracts, and I said, who's gonna do this? And they said, well, you are. And I ended up loving it, and so now my boss is sitting in the room right here, and she is trying to pull that away from me, but I won't let it go, because the negotiation piece. But when this question came up about challenges, I think we encounter challenges every day, but I was going back in my career of what were some of the greatest challenges. And I think you hit it on the head when you were talking about we moved a lot, right? As women, everybody sitting in this room, the reason you're here on a Wednesday night is because you want to network, you want to grow in your careers. And I think a lot of us, we're out of college, we're ready to go, we get our first job, we instantly get promoted because we're in an entry-level job, and we're moving up and we're moving up. And all of a sudden you're 25 years old and you're sitting in a room with the CEO of a Fortune 200 company, and he's talking about his granddaughter who's 2 years older than you. And you're sitting there in this conversation, negotiating with them, trying to pitch why they should invest the company's funds in your product. And you're sitting back and going, there's all these politics, and you don't understand it. And I think that was one of the biggest challenges in my career was I advanced so quickly, but I didn't have the emotional maturity. And I didn't have the political savviness to kind of navigate through all of that. And so that's why I would just encourage everybody, get a mentor. Because when you're young and you're moving through, sometimes you're like, I'm too busy for that, but that mentor can be a critical help when you're going into those meetings to help you go, okay, take a step back, make sure you're listening, make sure you're engaging, don't get over emotional, and and just make sure, you know what I'm talking about, because we're passionate, we want to get our points across. So I would just encourage everybody to really get a mentor, because we're going to come across those challenges. You take the job where you can only check 2 of the boxes. You may not know everything. Having a mentor can definitely help.
Thanks for sharing that. One thing that I noticed in my career, as I was in the same boat until about 2 years ago, all of a sudden I started looking around and like, I'm one of the oldest people in the room now. So what I learned, mentors are amazing people, but you can also learn so much by watching, right? You get in a room of people and you notice the person who's doing it really well, and watch and listen and maybe ask them to be a mentor. But you can learn an awful lot about just immersing yourself in experiences that you have day in and day out. So thank you for sharing that, Carrie. Dana, we're going back to you, girl. I think we put you in the middle because you're red, and I think that's a color, right? That's the color we're supposed to all have tonight? Yes. Okay. So Dana, was there a moment in your career where you took a chance on a role, and how did it turn out?
So I think we all have moments where we're like, I'm going to take a leap, I can do this, and then you show up and you're like, oh, shit. What did I just do? This is the worst thing I ever did. And I would say, you know, I had a brief stint outside of pharma where I worked for Guitar Center. And day one, I showed up, and I had never heard of this. They changed the job description. I was like, can you do that? Yeah, we sure can. Okay, so I'm not going to have people reporting. Like, the whole thing just changed. And I think, you know, a lot of times when you show up and all of a sudden things change, you just, you know, kind of have to figure it out and figure out, you know, yeah, I made this decision and maybe it was the wrong decision, but you know what, I think I learned more from making some wrong decisions about learning about company culture. Guess what, I don't want to go to the bathroom and have to listen to Led Zeppelin. I don't know about you, but I was not a happy camper. Like, I just want to go, like, it just wasn't a good time. And so I think even though it was the worst mistake that I've ever made of going outside and finding out, like, company culture can make such an impact on your career, I think it was one of the best mistakes I've made. And I learned more from that mistake than I have from some other places. And, you know, that to me is invaluable. So when I go on with my career, if I go step outside pharma, I really need to understand, can I fit in with that company culture? Am I going to be sticking out like a sore thumb, you know, when I go to this next opportunity and they're like, what are you doing? Why are you always trying to hold our hands and sing Kumbaya? And I'm like, but that's pharma, that's the way we work. I mean, you know, it's just one of those things where you're so ingrained in something until you really learn the hard way that this doesn't work and this may not work for you. It's just one of those opportunities. I feel like you learn more from some of your failures than you do your successes sometimes.
Absolutely right. I think we've all been there. We've all also had maybe some challenging bosses every once in a while that we've also learned a lot from. So that's a great example, Dana. So Lisa, this is kind of similar to what Dana was talking about, so it'll be interesting, your perspective. So have challenges and difficult times shaped your career, and how?
Okay, I'll tackle from the personal life perspective. While I was developing my career, I had to deal with a lot of difficulties in my personal life. 17 years ago, it was a long time ago actually. After I joined my company, I found out I had a brain tumor. And luckily, it was not a cancerous tumor, but it was big enough to press my facial nerve and made half my face paralyzed. And it caused a lot of excruciating pain. So whenever I spoke or ate, the pain will be triggered. So I had to go through a 9-hour surgery, hoping that that will fix the problem, but it didn't. So the pain persisted, and I had to rely on a lot of medicine to control the pain. And if that was not bad enough, a couple years later, I had a divorce, and I became a single mom for an 8-month-old baby. all these difficulties. I learned how to be calm under all these crises, and I learned how to be fearless in front of difficulties. So that's probably why our CFO wanted me to get on this difficult project. So the other thing that I learned is, for every adversity that we run into, there is an advantage we can take advantage of. So if you can identify that advantage and leverage that, you can really achieve greatness in your life.
Wow. You can tell that you're fearless. By sharing that very personal story with us, I think it touched all of us. And can we give her another round of applause? Tony, so let's go flip side a little bit. What successes have shaped your career?
I don't think I got this question.
You can answer whatever question you want to answer. That's what I had down.
Some of the successes that has shaped my career, a lot of it is you do have your personal successes. I think your personal successes can help you achieve in your work successes. I also had some difficult times, really young though, not at your age, but when we were immigrants here, we came here in 1975. I think we all had to deal with managing what it's like to be, left out, trying to learn a new language, and I started working at a really young age. And I think being able to take on responsibility at a really young age, like around 10, 11, 12, helped me to kind of feel responsible for making things for myself, creating things for myself. So when I started in law, and I wanted to go and do something different that wasn't in the legal career, and I went into negotiations, I think that helped me kind of spearhead my way, figure out a way to make things work, create something for myself. So allowing some of that successes from your personal challenges that you deal with, and you take that into whatever work that you do, that helps quite a bit.
Thank you. Thank you. So, I wish I would have known which question we thought we had, because I would ask it. That's okay. We are going to have time for questions from the audience too, so we'll see how that goes. So we have a few more questions that are pre-planned, so start thinking of some really good questions now. This is your forewarning, okay? These guys are ready for it. The gals are ready for it. Okay. All right, Randy, what impact, well, we just happen to be doing this tonight. What impact has networking had on your career?
I'm glad I got the question. I thought it was going to I was a little worried. I love this question because networking is like a huge passion of mine. And a lot of that is because pretty much every new job I've gotten has come as a result of networking or knowing somebody, literally down to walking my dog and my neighbor saying, "Hey, don't you do procurement?" And next thing I know, I'm at a startup starting, a whole program all by myself. Again, one of those things where you're like, I don't know how to do that, but okay. So I can't stress enough how important it is, and it's not just in getting the next job, but it's also in help me learn what PG&E is doing in this space, or I've got this problem. How are you guys solving it? So it's been so important to me that I started a networking group a couple years ago called Silicon Valley Sourcing Leaders. And again, it was one of those things, I'm networking with somebody and saying our company's not big enough to join, a bigger organization, so maybe I'll just start something myself, kind of tongue in cheek, not really being serious about it. And they said, I think that's a great idea. They connected me with a couple other people. We got together, we started this group in Silicon Valley. And it's just, I'm preaching to the choir here because you guys are all here and you're doing it. You know, take this back to your friends, your colleagues, the people that you know that aren't here tonight, and just reiterate to them the value of networking. You know, even just connecting on LinkedIn, things like that. There are so many opportunities out there for us to be helped, to help each other, and to just really advance our own careers, take our jobs that we're doing in our organizations to the next level. And it's really hard to do that on your own. And so I feel like I've got this whole network now of consultants and peers and professionals and experts in every different type of area that you can think of. I just think it's really, there's not a price tag that you can put on how valuable networking is.
Ditto.
Thank you for hosting this and making these opportunities available.
So we obviously at GWPP love networking too. You can network online in our group. So I would obviously you're all going to get your shimmer on in the month of March, right? And learn, yes, okay. So, and you will be experiencing new people. If you follow the hashtag, you'll get to know them a little bit better, you can connect with them. And that's all great in the virtual world, but then also getting yourself out there. My mentor always tells me, go out there and play in traffic. He does. Get yourself out there, get yourself out where people are, meet as many people as you can. So, so great advice. Thank you for sharing. Oh, I just talked too long and my phone locked up. Okay, here we go. Keisha, why is having a role model or mentors important, and how are they different from maybe someone that's a champion?
I love this question. For me, I always keep a personal board of directors, and that's what I call it, always. From a young professional throughout my career, I've always had that board of directors. And I think each of those play a very important role. If I look at role model, I think of someone that I can look at and I can say I really want to be like that person. Fortunately for me, that was my mom from the very beginning. There was no doubt she was always a role model. And if I think back to the confidence, she instilled that in me and my sister as women coming up in this world from the very beginning. I mean, we thought we were two little firecrackers that could take over.
And you are, Keisha.
We carry that on, and if we forgot, she reminded us. And that was so very important. If I look at even my resume along the way, I think someone said how as women we do things different. I think I've done everything. I used to say my resume was very schizophrenic. I've done it all, but that's what she did. And as a role model, it was you can do absolutely anything. So I think it's very important early on to have a role model. And then when I look at a mentor, I've always had that as well, and it's always been very important to me. And I've always made sure that if I didn't have one, I seek out a mentor everywhere I go. And I make sure it's not only where I'm working at the time. I think it's very important to have a mentor outside of your company as well. It's very important to have that balance. And that's important because having a mentor to be able to bounce ideas off of, think about the challenges that you're having, talk to them about that, them give you suggestions, help you understand how to navigate through things. That's important, and that's, to me, the role of a mentor. But then a champion, you know, is that person that's going to speak up for you. They're the ones that's going to be in that room. They've made it. They're going to be in that room, and they're going to speak to what your capabilities are. They're going to make sure that you're relevant. They're going to make sure that you have a voice in the room when sometimes maybe you don't. And I think what's fortunate for me is that I've had mentors that turned into champions. And to me, that's important because some people get a mentor and it's a one-year deal. I've been so fortunate. I think about, and I have to call her out, Lisa Rich-Mylan, CEO of Caligora Coughlin, and so important. I started this industry in 2005. And I think back then, she was my mentor coming into the company we were in, and to see someone that looked like me as an executive to be able to have those conversations. But now fast forward 15 years later, she's become a champion. And I can't say, you know, how important that is to be able to navigate through a lot of the challenges that we have. I know that she'll speak up for me. I know that she's there. You know, and so I think that's very important. If you don't have a personal board of directors with a role model, a mentor, and a champion, you need to reassess, because I think it's very important to have that.
Amen, sister. So Carrie, we're going to take this whole conversation about champions to the next level. I'm curious if you had a champion in your career, and how did they help you get to the next level?
So I can't agree with you enough to build your board. Like and I will say that hasn't always been my approach. So I grew up a little bit differently. Both my parents were blue collar workers. So I grew up in a small town. So I didn't see people progressing. A lot of the women and a lot of the women that I went to high school with are, they're at home. They had no ambition to move on to the next level. And I think for each person, that's their own story that they want to write. But I didn't have anybody that I could look up to and go, that's a story that I want to write for myself. So I remember when I first graduated college and I took a job with Pfizer, I joined a Women in Leadership Committee. And they said, find a champion. This is the importance of a champion. And I found one within my division. Well, all of a sudden they laid off the entire division, so my champion was gone. So I think it's just growing and knowing that, yes, it's important to have a champion, but it's also important to have champions throughout the organization, especially when we're in separate divisions. You never know what's going to happen. Healthcare is always changing, things are always changing, but it's important to branch out and find people that are going to advocate for you. And so if they leave and go to another company, they're pulling you. I'm going to pick on Lisa a little bit again. So Lisa was my mentor at Quest Diagnostics, and then when she came to Calibor, she pulled me over to work with her, and now she is my champion. And I have other champions within the organization as well, and I think that's really, really important. So I would just encourage everybody that a champion is extremely important for your career growth, but make sure that you have champions in all different departments, because you never know what meeting you're going to show up at, that somebody can be there to advocate for you, or when somebody leaves and goes somewhere else, that they're going to encourage you to speak up for yourself and lead and go to that next career move.
Yep, absolutely. So I want to talk a little bit about, and this is not a question, I'm just going to share some insights. How many of you are champions for other people? Okay. How many of you mentor other people? How many of you believe you can even expand it beyond what you're doing today? All right. So as we all seek mentors and champions, we are also all examples to others, right? So one of the great ways to build your network is to mentor other people and be true champions of other people. So we cannot forget that as our role in our careers, to not only look up, but to look around and help uplift others. So I hope that we can all champion someone. I know I have two of my champions in the room today, Steph Lapierre and Sarah Scudder. So I'm always honored to have them around me. But so let's remember to be an example too as we go about our day to day. Okay, Sophia, you're ending us up here, so that's the cue to the crowd to really get some questions in their mind. So Sophia, we've talked about the past a lot and past experiences, but I want you to think about in the future, okay? What are the most critical career choices that we must take today to face the future effectively?
Yeah, when I got this question, I thought it was pretty difficult, so I try that again. But I had a KITES organization, so I'm basically trying to build it out and leverage all the good practices and infrastructure of Gilead. And so when I thought about what do we need to do as women in strategic sourcing and procurement, and as just fellow colleagues and professionals, continue to grow and develop. I think there are some of us that sometimes think we have arrived, And I don't think in the industries that any of us are in this profession, you can ever say that we've arrived. And so in order for us to be prepared for the future, I mean, there's, you know, artificial intelligence, and there's, you know, crowdsourcing, and there's a lot of unique things going on that, and just look at social media in itself.
Yeah.
And I don't know if we're tapping into all of that in new, innovative ways. And so I would say for us professionally, continue to grow and learn. And if you're in one category or one area, don't be stagnant. You know, reach out, learn some of the other categories of spend, or, you know, branch out and maybe leave sourcing and procurement for a while if you've only been in sourcing and procurement, and go into a function and just learn more about the business. I just think we should continue to grow and keep our, and seek to understand and not to be understood. Because I think a lot of us in this field come in almost like we know a whole lot more than our stakeholders and not listening as much. But the takeaway for me is grow. Just continue to develop and grow, and let's start tapping into some of the innovative technologies that are out there to see if it can help us take our stakeholders and our business partners to the next level. Because I think they're looking for that from us. And you know, I'll end with this. We should be delivering value that matters to our stakeholder or our business partner. Not to us, not to the bottom line. It should equal out somewhere along the line, but what's valuable to that stakeholder? If we listen and grow and develop with them, all of our companies, whether they're private or public, will do quite well.
Awesome. Thank you so much. That was great. Okay. Questions from the crowd. Oh, we have, okay. Here's the deal. Here's the deal. We have 3 already. For those who say, I think I have a question, but I'm too scared to do anything. Count to, once we get through these first 3, count to 5 backwards. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then raise your hand, okay? You got that? Okay, and when we go to you to pick you, whoever already raised your first 3, please introduce yourselves, because it's a great opportunity to get your name out there, okay? There were 2 in the back. Way back. We'll start in the way back. Can you shout from there? Or do you need to run up here?
I can. My name is Brian
Okay.
Harris. I work at Gilead. I've had the distinct pleasure and honor of working with and growing to appreciate 3 of the stellar professionals up on the stage. You have a number of men in the audience here, all of you women. Men are traditionally relatively thick-skulled, and we tend to learn things a little bit more slowly than you all do.
Conversation to say, oh, I never thought about it that way. and be open. And I'll say, you know, Brian specifically, I think he's been phenomenal. And it wasn't easy. We did think differently, but I think now we have conversations and it's like, you know, we really are on the same page. We just get there differently. You know, and so that would be my advice to all the men in the room is just, you know, be open. We are different. It's okay. At Gilead, you know, we have the inclusion and diversity, and a big part of that is diversity of thought. And we have to be respectful of that.
Thank you. Can I just say really quickly, I didn't plant that you said unicorn, right? I didn't mention unicorn? Okay. The logo for GWPP was going to be a unicorn. And I got overruled. So Keisha, I might get you a unicorn just so. I'm good for it. Okay, all right, good. Okay. Whew. Okay, there was another one kind of in the back. Stand up, stand up. Stand up.
So my name is Michelle Hayes. I'm with Uber and I run their contingent workforce program locally. I'm actually based in Amsterdam, but I lived here in San Francisco for a number of years. I happen to be visiting. Lucky me.
Welcome.
Yes.
Yes, okay.
So we talk a lot about people who advocate for us, and I think as women, oftentimes we forget to advocate for ourselves. And one of the things that I've had the pleasure of learning over years and years and years of working with many different people, but a lot of men, is watching them being very confident in the way that they advocate for themselves and what they need. So what I'd like to hear from the panel is, how important is that to you? And maybe even an example of how you've used that and how it's been successful for you.
Who wants to take that one? Yeah, Dave.
Yeah, so, I mean, for me, advocating for yourself, I found some incredible women who, Sarah, just wrote an article about me. Christy has been great in my career. I think you find certain people who, they don't have to be men, they can be women who will just say, hey, you know, go out there and do what you need to do. And you learn, like Stephanie, she inspired me to write a blog. Originally she just said, hey, could you write an article? And I was like, well, if I do one article, then where am I gonna post it? But if I don't post it on, you know, Teal Book, then I need to post it somewhere else. And I was like, oh, I'm gonna start a website. And now I'm into podcasts and speaking engagements and all these things because of one person saying, hey, you could do this. Can you help me out? You know what I mean? Advocating and saying, listen, you write one, I'll support you, I'll send it out there, right? And it turned into this huge blog and meeting people like Sarah and meeting all the great other GWPP women in this room, including yourself, who have given me some, you know, insight and were willing to just say, hey, listen, I'll push for you too, you know, and just connecting with them and saying, I need help, but, you know, what can I do? And then giving you that insight and just pushing you and giving, like Stephanie gave me that spark to say, oh, okay, I can put myself out there and I can build my brand, but I don't need to gloat about it, right? Because as women, we tend to be like, oh, you know, I don't need to talk about myself. I'm good. People will see what I do, and I believe that because I'm from the Midwest. You work hard and you'll be respected, but guess what? You've got my ex-coworker who will go in front of a room and say, hey, I'm the greatest thing ever. I'm gonna be his protege. And you're like, what are you doing? So I think it's having the other women to support you, to kind of push you to say, hey, you can do it too, and you can do it in a way that's not overbearing, that's just saying, hey, this is what I'm doing, come join me. I want to meet all of you. I do everything I can to network and, you know, push myself and continue my blog and continue doing videos and podcasts and all these things, you know? And it really is just one of those things that you need the spark, and then once you do, you find all these people along the way who just, you know, really are amazing, and I can't thank you all enough for giving me free advice and everything else you have done for my career, because it really is amazing how in less than maybe just a year, I've started a blog and I've done multiple speaking engagements. I'm going to Europe this year, and I mean, just the opportunities that are out there, I just would never have thought about a year ago, and all the people I would have met never would have happened a year ago, but it's just that one person who can give you the insight, like, hey, why don't you think about this? And you're like, I got it.
So
they can really help advocate.
It is. So one thing, we just posted an article on the group page, so all of you guys are part of the group page once I let you in, right? Because you all did that earlier. Global Women Procurement Professionals. Okay. There's a great article that was just promote themselves enough. I highly encourage you all to read it. Dana's absolutely right. Sometimes you need a spark. Sometimes that spark can be you, right? So don't think you have to be inside knowing that you can do it. Someone can help you up and uplift you, but at the end of the day, it's you that you need to believe in yourself. Okay? So read the article, do it tonight, do it tomorrow, but it had some really great insights about what Dana has done so well and what so many others have done in the room. But I personally know that we all can live our best careers, and you deserve it. Right? That's right.
Yes, we all feel awkward, but I feel like, yeah, you gotta kind of just push yourself out there.
Yes.
You know, it may feel like, oh, I should talk about myself, but you know what? If you don't, who is?
Nobody else.
Nobody's going to do it for you.
Yeah,
so
you need to own it. You need to get your shimmer on.
Damn right.
Sometimes it will start at the beginning. I think you mentioned applying for jobs. So how many women in here have looked in men, have saw a job opportunity and not applied for it because you looked at it and said, oh, I only meet like 30% of that criteria? Okay, so there was a study done that said that men actually apply for jobs that they only meet 30% of the criteria, and women have to have 90% or higher. Yes. And so I would encourage everybody, when you get that job, write down all of your strengths that would apply to that job, and then write down the things that may be that gap, and then how quickly you can learn that. Because I guarantee you that half of those things on there that you're saying are obstacles, you could probably pick up like that. And so really, you should be in that 30% category.
Yep. Reach out to your network and find out what those things mean.
And that was a question from the men that asked, how can they help?
Yes.
Realize that. So I always say to my male colleagues on my leadership team, don't just focus on those that are asking. Really step back, and you may have to go to some of your women direct reports and ask them. And I know that sounds odd, but it's just a difference until they can build the courage and the strength. I encourage the males on my team to really think about that, because often men will ask, they will promote, and it doesn't mean that you don't have a just as qualified woman leader on your leadership team or your direct report. So I think Brian asked the question, make sure to pull the women in and ask, or at least if you've got one male that's coming every week saying he's the greatest and he wants a promotion, just step back and think about the rest of the team as well, and really you may have to tap some of the women on your team just to give them that courage, that first step. And getting that from a man is so powerful as well.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you. Okay, we had one, and then I had 2, 3, 4. Okay.
Hi everyone, my name is Manli Chin. I'm from Clinical Operations at Gilead. So I just want to say that, first of all, I haven't been here for very long. It's just about 1.5 years, but I'm really impressed with, all the women leaders here and also the outside leaders that the company brought in to really help us to form our own way to develop and grow our own careers here. So really appreciate that. So my question is that today we have talked a lot about the importance of having a champion in your life, in your career. So usually they are very successful and easy people probably. So how do you convince them to be your champion? And also how do you effectively manage that relationship so that relationship is being long lasting and also productive? I think that last question is that what are some of the most important, probably top 3 traits in that champion when you select them?
Who wants? That was like 3 questions.
Yeah.
She wrote it down. You want to take
I'll take one of the questions. That was a lot. So the one thing I would say is, how do you choose your champion? I think the best way for me, and maybe people can chime in here too, is at least 1 or 2 levels up. Someone who actually knows your work product, right? Who can actually see what you're doing they can actually speak to that and pull you up and then talk to their peers. Anyone want to add to that?
Yeah, I would give a little bit different perspective. I would find someone who's outside of your own department function, who has more visibility of what is going on with the entire company. So they will give you more different perspective than what your boss will give you.
Yeah. You made a comment too about, oh, they're so busy,
Yes.
you know, when we start to look upward. But I think people are so willing to help and be that champion, and they want to be, and especially women. There's a lot of men that will give up their time to help and to advocate for people. So don't think, oh, they're too busy. I could never ask them or approach them. Take them to lunch, pick their brain about things, and I think you'll be pleasantly surprised how much time they will make. Regardless of how busy.
Ties into the other thing about advocating for yourself.
Yes.
I mean, if you're in a department where maybe you don't have any champions because maybe your boss, or you're in a department where you're an N of 1 or 2, ask somebody to be your mentor. I think the best thing is going outside of your current group, finding a mentor, and then they can see your talents, and then they can potentially become a champion or recommend you. They're going to talk you up to their bosses, and then that's how your champions can grow. So really advocate for yourself, expand your network, get yourself a mentor, and that kind of
Go play in traffic.
Yeah.
Right. The last thing I want to say is just asking is going to raise awareness that you want to actually go up. Just somebody coming to me and saying, hey, can you mentor me? Hey, can you be my champion? I start thinking, oh, this person really wants to start in their career. They want to go up, and then I start focusing. So just to ask.
And I think also, marketing yourself. Like, why is it that you want a champion? If I'm going to ask the champion, I'm going to say, this is who I am, this is what I want to do, this is what I aspire to be, and I think that you can help me get there.
Yes.
And if it's no after that, that's probably not my champion.
No.
But
Yes.
okay for
That's
asking
clear.
someone else, but it's really knowing what I want and what I want out of that champion, and it's about just asking.
Yeah. And I will say, I'll just add in, I don't think I've ever asked someone to be my champion. It's interesting. I just built relationships with people I loved. Right? I would watch them operate and see how they went about their business, and I'm like, I need to know that person. So I built a relationship with them. It wasn't like, can you be my champion? Right?
And I think a lot of times it's like Keisha said,
Right?
like I've had mentors who end up being champions just because I left the job or whatever.
Right.
I talked to my mentor from 10 years ago, and was also a champion at Amgen, and I'm like, it just turns into your board of directors, and I never thought of it that way, but I think it's really insightful to think of it that way.
Well, and the opposite is true too, right? You can have a mentor
Yes.
that needs to
Yeah.
not be a mentor.
Oh.
And not a
Oh.
champion, right?
Oh yeah.
Amanda?
Oh yeah. So I had a mentor, a woman mentor. It was like a blind date mentor where it was like forced to have this mentor. Like when someone's like, you're a high potential, you're going to have this mentor. And so I met with her once. And I told her some pretty, I just told her what I was thinking about the organization, the culture, the executive leadership team, what my insights were, and what I was struggling with, because that's what I thought I could do with a mentor. She turned around and then told the entire executive leadership team what I thought. So, you have to, you truly have a relationship with that person.
Yeah.
So that was the one and done mentor relationship. So we had a question here, and we have about 5 minutes left for questions. So panel, we're gonna rapid fire question answer. Okay? Go ahead. Yes.
So hi everybody, I'm Christy Willman. I work in sourcing at BioMarine. I'm super excited to be here today. I'm so interested about the statistic that you shared regarding the 30%, 90%. So I feel like I've tried in my past to maybe branch out. I've always been in indirect procurement, trying to get into direct, and they're like, oh, she doesn't have that direct materials experience.
resume fresh, you want to be able to converse, and you never know where that conversation's going to get you. And so I would say, I would recommend at least applying for the opportunity, asking for the interview, and then at the end of the interview say, where are those gaps? What are you know, if they say, sorry, you don't have the position, sit down, have a conversation. You have the right to ask, why was I not selected? And then take those and go, okay, well, what can I do to close those gaps? Is there a program that I can follow? Can I shadow somebody? Can I work on a special project to gain experience? But if you don't put your name out there, they're not going to know. And so I would really encourage everybody, apply for that position, and then ask what those gaps are, and then ask that person who's telling you there's gaps, how do you close them? How do I get to that next level? Advocate for yourself.
I think there's a, yes.
Yeah,
Go
so
ahead.
my name is Lisa Rich Milan. I am very proud to have almost half of this panel up here. Because as a leader, you are not a true leader unless you are a servant leader, which means your legacy are the leaders that you see up here. So to answer your question another way, because Carrie is absolutely correct, but when you want to try to get someplace that you have not been before, you may want to network with the area in which you want to be. And I would get that job description and understand the roles of that job description and find people who have done it and have been there and partner with them and network with them. Not that you need to move right then or you're trying to get a promotion, but just network and learn what it is they do. And then learn the skill set and then go after the job.
Thank you.
Or go to special projects, right? Like if you're in a company that has direct, and you can go over there and help with a special project to learn the skill hands-on, but still maintain.
Yeah, we precept too. Yeah, so we do preceptorships. We had a young lady who did not, we weren't sure if she had a skill set and she was interested in a director role. And so we actually have her in a 3-month preceptorship right now to, number one, see if she has the leadership skills, but number two, that she truly understands the role that she's getting into, because what she may think she's getting into might be very different when you're living and breathing it. So you can go into a situation like that as well.
Yeah. Okay. There were like 2 questions. Okay. Right here? And then I thought there was one in the back too, but go ahead.
Hi, my name is Isis Bistet. I'm currently a consultant with Uber. Yay! And their legal department. Come say hi. So we've talked a lot about growing our careers, supporting each other. My question is, what do we do to support ourselves? How do we nourish ourselves? How do we regenerate? And I'm not just talking about going to the spa once a year. I'm talking about, what do you guys do on a daily basis to promote self-love and self-care so you can be badass women the next day?
And you can get your shimmer on. Can I answer first? Can I do that as a moderator? So I started 2 companies in a year. Okay? And I have 2 small kids at home. And I moved. And I'm moving again, all in a year. Okay? At the end of the year, I was like, I am freaking exhausted. I am burnt out. I gained 25 pounds. And it was I knew that I had to do something different, because there was no way that I was going to be able to lead 2 organizations successfully if I wasn't taking care of myself. So I made it my mission this year to spend 1 hour every single day on myself. Okay? That's working out in the morning, reading an audiobook, reading my scriptures, because I am religious, so that's for me. But every day I need to take an hour to myself, and it has transformed what I'm doing. Okay? It doesn't take a whole lot, ladies. I mean, if you think that you can't find that hour in your day, you can find it. You can. You just have to know that you need to do it. Okay? So that's how I do it. How about anyone else?
I agree with what you said, because
Yes.
I'll get up, I've got 2 little ones at home, I'll get up at 4:30 to go run and start my day, and I'm at work at 7 and get home, and then it's 3 o'clock, and then I'm cooking dinner, and it's just, it's overwhelming, right? And if you don't take that hour in the morning to run for yourself and just be like, leave me the hell alone and take your space, right? Sometimes you just like, let me do my thing. Then yeah, 100% you feel burnt out, right? And you're doing a ton of stuff and people are like, how are you doing? And you're like, yeah, I'm burnt out. But you gotta take that time, you know, whether it's 4:30 in the morning or, you know, like me, I have insomnia at 2 a.m. in the morning when I wake up randomly. Just
She writes an article.
That's what I do. That's exactly what I do. That's how I'm productive. So, you know, it's just finding that, you know, time and making sure you take that time, because otherwise that burnout is just inevitable, right?
Okay, so I know it's time's up, unfortunately, and I think there was a wrap, right? We want to wrap with so there were a couple of questions that we left on the floor. Feel free to ask any of the panelists after the session wraps up. But can we please give all of these wonderful women
thank Amanda, and I thank Sarah and the GWPP team. I thank the panelists, but also internally to Gilead, Ellen Kaplan, helping me with Sindel, who I know is hiding behind the IT/sign putter-upper guy. And I have to thank my leader, my ally, Andy Murray. And then lastly, who I'll invite up, or you want to say go, Jasmine? Jasmine in our talent acquisition team has been amazing throughout the process.